Yep, as always, appreciate everyone coming out, and certainly want to pay respects to everyone on Veterans Day. Thanks to all the veterans out there that have served, are serving, and the freedoms and many things they provide me as a coach, to be able to go do the things that I love to do. So don't want anyone ever to take those veterans for granted, and certainly want to honor them today. I want to wish Dawn and her team luck tonight against Clemson. No, that's a big one. I know it's at home, correct? I know the arena will be rocking over there, and wish them luck as they take on the Tigers tonight. Awesome win for Lamont's team the other night. I was trying to do work and watch his game on television at the same time here in the office, but what mental toughness they showed in that game. Was great to see them get a win like that early in the season. Best of luck to volleyball. I know they have their final home match of the season tomorrow night against Ole Miss. And then I saw where they actually play in Austin, Texas on Saturday. So for all the Gamecocks that'll be in College Station on Saturday, if you don't have plans, drive over to Austin and check out volleyball on Sunday. Get a doubleheader of Gamecock athletics in the state of Texas this weekend. And then best of luck to Coach Smith and women's soccer. They're in the NCAA tournament for the 13th straight season, which is an amazing accomplishment to be able to do that. So Shelly and Jamie, good luck. Pull them for you. I know they got Wake Forest Friday night, I believe. So let's kick the weekend of Gamecock athletics off with a bang on Friday night, but congrats to them on a great regular season and on being in the tournament for the 13th straight season. That's an awesome accomplishment, and much respect for the job they do as coaches. Bye week was good. Like Steve said, hope it was good for everyone. I know a lot of you guys were working and doing other sports, but we had a really good 3 days of work as a program on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then players needed a break, so they got it starting Wednesday after practice outside of academic responsibilities. And then I was able to do some recruiting. I love having 2 bye weeks because it means I can go out recruiting double what I'll be able to do, I guess, next year when we only have 1 off week, the way the schedule falls in 2026. But it was great to be able to get out on Friday along with some of our other coaches. It's been a really productive fall in regards to being able to go out recruiting. We only have a certain number of days that the NCAA allows us, and we've used literally every single one but one, and that'll get used next week when we've got some coaches when we've got a coach that'll be out. So it's really been a productive fall of being on the road, gotten to see a lot of great players. Recruiting's going fantastic. A lot of excitement out there with the group of guys that's committed, and then the ones below them in the class of 27 that we're recruiting. So really like where we are. And then everyone came back in here on Sunday after the coaches went out recruiting, and everybody was off on Saturday and got back in here on Sunday, I believe, re-energized, excited, and ready to roll for this big 3-game stretch we have coming up. Goes without saying, we've got a huge challenge this week in College Station, a team that, in my opinion, is playing better than any team in the nation right now in all 3 phases. It's not just offense, defense, or offense or defense, or special teams is bad. They're good in everything and very efficient in everything. When you look at an offense that doesn't turn the ball over, they don't have negative plays, they don't give up sacks. You look at a defense that's number 1 in the nation, I believe, right now in third down defense, number 2 in sacks. You look at a special teams unit that has returned 2 punts for touchdowns this year, dangerous in the kickoff return game, faked a punt that changed the game the other day against Missouri. So they're clicking on all cylinders. Coach Elko's done an awesome job out there, and we know we got a big challenge. But our guys are excited, getting to go compete in one of the greatest venues in all of college football. This is one of, not my favorite place in the league to go play. It's just an awesome stadium. It's what college football is about, the tradition out there, the pageantry, the environment, the atmosphere. It's awesome. And I really feel fortunate to be able to go compete in arenas like the one I'm going to get to go compete in this week. And I know our players are excited about the opportunity to get back out on the field and get better. With that, any questions?
Shane, the past couple of weeks when you got just the offensive playbook, has it been increased, subtracted? Just what's been added, not specifically, but how much has it been, modified?
I'd say there's been a pretty good tweaking. There's been some takeout, but then there's also been some add, So when you look at it, I'd say we probably have about the same number, or we will end up. We're getting ready to game plan third down and red zone here this afternoon and tomorrow. But when it all is said and done, we'll end up with about the same amount of plays. And there'll be some things. Certainly, you can't have radical changes, but there's some things that, from that Mike and Sean and Black and the rest of the staff maybe, like that they want to emphasize, or things that we were doing before that, again, they were part of the offensive staff when Mike Shula was the offensive coordinator, but it wasn't like they just went in their offices and Mike put together the plan and said, here it is. They were all in there and they're all accountable for it. But certainly there's different voices in there now that are leading the way, and there may be some things that they feel a little bit stronger about than maybe Mike did. So yeah, a little bit less of some stuff, maybe a little bit more of things, but ultimately doing what gives us the best chance to be successful, that fits our players, which is what we're trying to do each and every week. But it's been good. It's been good that we had a bye a week last week, David. Mike and the offensive staff, they really spent a lot of time the Sunday after the Ole Miss game and then the Monday after the Ole Miss game grinding through, kind of putting together an initial plan, and then Tuesday and Wednesday with meetings and practice, and then Thursday before guys went out on the road recruiting, and then back in here on Sunday. So it's been good. I'm eager to watch them play on Saturday.
Shane, when you met with the players after Shula was fired, how did they kind of take everything in that moment, in your opinion? And since then, with Furry taking over, how do you feel like the mindset is for those guys on offense of trying to go out here and play really well for him over the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, in regards to how did they take it, it was the Sunday after Ole Miss, and we didn't do anything as a team that day, Jack. So I met with Lenoris. He was in the building, so I met with him right when it happened, essentially, just to kind of talk to Lenoris about it face to face. I didn't want to call a team meeting on Sunday and bring everybody in to announce that to them. So it was a little bit different because they all found out on Sunday via social media or whatever else, but met with, Lenoris in person because he was in the building. And then I talked to all the quarterbacks on the phone that day directly. And they were certainly disappointed. I mean, that's the guy, their position coach, and you grow close with that guy, and it's tough when there's a change made. So I wanted to talk with the quarterbacks first and foremost. I thought they handled it well, like the great young men that they are. Disappointed for Coach Shula, and we all have a hand in it, and we all let him down, myself, the players, coaches, and there's a sense of that, certainly. And then on Monday morning after the Ole Miss game, when we met as a team, I thought they handled it well. I explained to them why I made the decision that I made, that we all had a hand in it, that, coaches are accountable for what's on the field. The players are accountable. There were plays to be made in that Ole Miss game that, were good plays that we didn't make them. And we're all accountable for that. But this was what I felt gave us the best chance to be successful going forward, and just tried to be open and honest with them. And I feel like they've handled it the right way. And then in regards to the second part of it, it's been good. Mike's got Furry, has got a great, he's got an energetic personality that I think, he's talking trash to defensive backs during stretch every day about what the receivers are going to do to him in practice. He's kind of got that swag, or whatever you want to call it, and he's brought that to the offense. And I'm not saying that we didn't have it before, but he's definitely brought a confidence, and he's been, he's connected well with Lenoris. And I think the offense is certainly, they know we need to be better, and this will hopefully give us a little bit of a spark with that. So with Mike and the rest of the offensive coaches, I feel like they've done a nice job, and the players have handled it the right way and responded the right way. And now we got to go play well on Saturday, which is easier said than done against this crew.
Hey, Shane, what goes into the decision on what to take out the playbook, and how has Lenoris responded, both in the way he's practicing and in meeting rooms? Is he more vocal about what he likes, what he doesn't like?
Yeah, what goes into it is kind of just looking at it, and I think it's okay, you got a 9-game body of work, and just like we do every week, looking at, things we're doing well, maybe things we're not doing well schematically. I think you look at the mechanics of how we're doing things, how we're calling stuff, how we're communicating on the field with all 11 guys to one another. You look at everything, how can we be more efficient? You look at, okay, what are we not doing well? And why? Is it a personnel issue? Is it a schematic issue? What are we doing well? So there's a lot that goes into it, and then it's also the opponent. Okay, here's what Texas A&M does, and here's how we need to attack those guys, which is a little bit different than the way that Ole Miss played. So we try and do that each and every week, but now it's a really with a bye week, you have more time to dive into self-scout yourself and then also get into the opponent. So that's what we tried to do. But it's also what Lenoris is comfortable with, and we do that every week. I mean, I talk to Lenoris regularly, just like all of our, Mike Shula and the rest of our offensive coaches have done and will continue to, about, what makes him comfortable, what he likes. And I think you do that with any quarterback, and that's certainly what we've done in this instance. There's no question about it. And I think, I feel like Lenoris has handled it well. He is who he is. He doesn't really change, but I like, I'll say this. I like the way that last Tuesday, last Wednesday, Sunday night, and today, I like the way he's practiced and the way that he's throwing it and operating out there. So we just need to continue to, get him to perform and get him better and better, as we go to game day.
Hey, Coach. This may be a bit of a redundant question, but kind of looking for an educational, I guess, answer. With Shula, obviously he was the quarterback coach last year, offensive coordinator this year. Was there ever any thought of, a lessening of responsibility? And if not, why doesn't that happen here or really in college football as a whole?
Lessening meaning like someone staying on as a position coach but not as the coordinator?
Yeah.
No, I think I can't speak for every situation outside this building. It wasn't something that I necessarily considered. I think that's hard when I don't know if demoted is the word, but I just think that's hard when, okay, you're not going to do this anymore, but you're going to continue to do this. I think in the past in college football, it was because you only had a certain number of coaches that were allowed to coach on the road or a coach on the field. You had 10 guys. Now with the NCAA relaxing the rule on analysts, everyone can coach. So I think it's something that each situation is different. If a coach ever did that, lessen the responsibilities in one area and increase the responsibilities in another area, I didn't feel like that was the way to go. I just, feel like that was a tough situation to be in if you've, been the coordinator and now to say you're no longer going to be the coordinator, someone else is. If I had decided to do that, I think Coach Shula would have been the pro that he is and would have handled it great. I just didn't feel like that was the best direction for us to go as an offense.
I have a few different questions. Is Davis Cutter the quarterback's coach? No.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't sit down. Yes, in the sense that he's in there. I didn't sit down and give everybody new titles when I made the decision. But Davis, yes, has been in the quarterback meetings every day with Coach Shula. Davis is in all of them. Now he is the only one in those rooms, but Mike Furry has, taken a more active role with, I don't want to say necessarily with the quarterbacks, but in conjunction with the quarterbacks and receivers. So if the quarterbacks are meeting separate from the receivers, Mike might be in there, but he's probably in there with the receivers. And if Mike's not in there, Davis is always in there. And then the receivers and the quarterbacks have been meeting, over the last week or so a little bit more together just to, install and make sure everybody's on the same page about what we're doing.
And will Mike Furry be on the field?
To be determined. Okay. I told Mike, put the staff, including yourself, where you need to be on game day to call it best and operate most efficiently as an offense. And those are things that those guys are working through right now, how we want to break up who's where, press box and sideline.
And obviously you're focused on this season and this game coming up, but how do you balance that with obviously trying to figure out who the offensive coordinator next year is going to be.
Yeah, certainly my loyalty is to this team and doing everything that I can to help us play our best over these next 3 weeks, starting this Saturday in College Station. So there's nothing that I'm doing, Hale, that is going to take me away from preparing our team to go perform our very best on Saturday. There's nothing taking me away from that, but certainly you have an eye, going forward, no matter what the coordinator situation looks like with 26, whether it's someone that's already on staff, whether it's somebody from the outside. The fact of the matter is there's two open positions on our offensive staff that I've got to fill, and having the bye week allows you to do some things from that standpoint, kind of get the ball rolling, knowing that you have decisions that you have to make after the season. So I was able to utilize last week to do a lot of stuff: recruit, prepare for A&M, work on our own team, but then also get a head start on some staffing decisions that I have to make after the season. So I was able to do that, and kind of like when a coach when I got hired here as the head coach, I went back to Oklahoma and finished coaching out that season to win another Big 12 championship against Iowa State. So it's not the same situation. It's a lot less on my plate from that standpoint, but it's similar in that you're kind of I was doing two different jobs at once. I'm not doing two different jobs right now, but there's a little bit more that my current job entails than what it did a month ago when I didn't have two openings on the staff. But in due time, able to do what I need to do for that right now. But my primary focus is trying to go play really well and coach really well against Texas A&M, and then when the season's over, we can really commit to that full time.
Coach Drinkwitz, after the game this past Saturday, when talking about Texas A&M's defense, said something along the lines of they threw a lot of stuff that we just didn't think they'd throw out there. What's kind of the difficulty of preparing for that defense, who can be maybe a little unpredictable in the looks they give you, compounding that with the offensive coaching staff shuffle that you have?
From our staff standpoint, we'll be fine in that. We got pros back in that room, and yeah, we're a little shorthanded in some ways, but those guys they work great together, and those guys back there in that offensive staff room will be they'll put a plan together that gives us a chance to go be successful. Having said that, easier said than done, against this defense. One, it starts with the personnel. I mean, you look at the best teams in the SEC, in my opinion, Elijah, they're old, meaning they got a bunch of juniors and seniors. And Vanderbilt is that way. I think they start 21 juniors or seniors on their team right now. Alabama's that way, especially on defense, I believe. You look at A&M, I want to say they start 9 or 10 juniors or seniors on their defense. The guys up front are all old. The linebackers are older guys. It's a lot of the same guys we've been playing. And then they've gone to the portal and brought in some guys, particularly on the defensive line, that have made them better. The defensive end, Hal, is an absolute freak show right now. I mean, their teams are double teaming him and triple teaming him, and he's still leading everybody in sacks all across the world. So he's a challenge along with everyone else. But then you couple that with a defensive-minded head coach who is a great defensive coordinator. I mean, we went out there in 2021, and I still have PTSD from that game. So does Zeb, with Coach Elko calling the defense that night. And he was really good then. He was really good at Duke. He's been an elite defensive coach wherever he's been. So now when you have a head coach that's running the defense like he is and is as involved as he is, it's aggressive, and they're well coached, and they're physical, and they got great personnel. So that's what makes it tough. Great players, a defensive-minded head coach, and they really keep you off balance from a schematic standpoint, attacking protections. And I mean, the interception that they had right before the half against Missouri, Missouri's basically kept both tight ends in, and they got a 7-man protection, and they still get a guy free and hits the quarterback, and it turns into 7 points before the half on a 7-man protection, and they know how to attack what you're trying to do. They know teams are going to come into the game trying to take away Howe and all the other guys they have up front, and they know how to stay kind of one step ahead, and you have to go beat them.
Shane, on that note, you just talked about how dangerous this team is. On your side, you've lost 4 in a row. You've got a new offensive coordinator. You're playing the number 3 team in the nation on the road in their house. Why are you and why should Gamecock fans be optimistic about your chances on Saturday?
Have y'all watched us play all season? Okay. I mean, I don't like what the record is right now, but we've been in every game, and we've had every opportunity to win in the fourth quarter in pretty much every game this season. Outside of a couple games, which there's reasons for that, but we've had opportunities to win every game in the fourth quarter. No one can question the want to and the effort of this team. And we've got a bunch of competitors on this team that are looking forward to going out to College Station and competing their butts off.
Does changing the OC and the play caller before this game possibly allow you guys to maybe catch Texas A&M off guard by showing them things that you haven't shown on film earlier this season?
Yeah, I would say, though, that's every week. You want to throw some things at teams that they don't expect. We see it every week because of some of the stuff we've done on special teams. Teams change what they do a lot of the times on Saturdays from a special team standpoint because they're trying to combat some of the stuff that we do to teams from a special team standpoint, and then we have to adjust. So I don't think you'd be doing a great job as a coach if you're not throwing wrinkles, new stuff, plays off plays, whatever it may be. We always try and do that, offense, defense, and special teams. But certainly, Jordan, when you have a change at coordinator, I don't know if they're watching South Carolina stuff. I don't know if they dug up old Limestone College video, Georgia State video, whatever it may be, West Virginia when Blackwell was there with, some of those guys, Will Greer and those guys back in the day. Shout out to Coach Chad Greer. So I think you're always trying to do that, but definitely when you have an off week and you have a new play caller, there's certainly some wrinkles, but, Coach Elko is a brilliant coach, and those defensive coaches are paid well out there to stay on top of that. And then whatever new that we may show Saturday, they'll do a great job of adjusting to it. And then we've got to do a great job adjusting to that.
Following up on that, Shane, I'm sure you saw the Auburn game this past weekend. They made an offensive change, scored a whole bunch of points. Could that happen on Saturday?
I hope. Certainly. They did a great job. I was able to watch a little bit of that game, Emily and Hunter and I were at dinner on Saturday night, and we were the rude people in the restaurant that put the game on my wife's phone at the table so we could watch overtime of the Vanderbilt Auburn game. But yeah, they did a great job. But it's week to week in this league. There's no question about it. But that is a great example, David, of a offense that had struggled for the most part this year. That new play caller came in and did a great job. Whatever they did, I didn't really study it, what they were doing. I hadn't really seen much of Auburn on tape this year other than against, I guess, A&M. We're seeing them some this week. But they did a good job, and I would hope that we would have similar results. That would be nice.
Shane, with the decision looming in the offseason of making the OC hire, what would it take over the rest of the season for you to really consider Mike as the full-time OC?
I think, Mike's a great coach, and I'm not closing the door on anything, Jack. I'm really trying to, win these next 3 games, starting Saturday against Texas A&M in College Station, and then looking at, okay, what gives us the best chance to be successful going forward. So it's exciting that you can kind of structure this offense however you want it here going into 26 with 2 openings to fill and whatnot. So, I don't want to put parameters on we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to be trending in the right direction. But I got all the confidence in the world in Coach Furry. I mean, he's a guy that had job offers after this past season to go places, professionally and college-wise, and stayed here because he believes in this place, and he's a great coach and has done a great job recruiting, great job in that wide receiver room. I think he's elite at what he does, and I've got a lot of confidence in him going forward, and that's what we're focused on is trying to put a plan together and go play really well in College Station on Saturday. And before you get to Hale, too, somebody sent me this thing on social media last night that some A&M guy is taking my comments in the press conference last year about our fans were a true 12th man as like some sort of shot at Texas A&M. So one, if you're the Texas A&M site that put that out last night, somebody sent it to me. You're really reaching if you need to find this to motivate the Aggies to come play Saturday in College Station. By no means was that any kind of criticism when I said 30 minutes or 20 minutes after the A&M game last year that our fans that night in Williams-Brice were a true 12th man. If anything, that was a compliment to the Aggie fans. So anybody that took that otherwise, you're really, really, really reaching. I told our players the other day, like, I love going to play at this place. I love the pageantry. I love as I told you guys, the core. Our first year there, we went out there. I don't know if this is like every game, but you come in behind, the buses bring you in, and the horses have come through before and they've crapped all over the road, and then the people are like sweeping the horse poop out of the road as the buses come in. I mean, it's awesome. Yeah, my thoughts exactly, Lulu. Correct? I don't know what that tradition was, but it was awesome. And then people told me when we went out there about the horses on the field and looking out for stuff they may have left behind. I mean, it's awesome. It's great pageantry out there, and I love going out there. So if whatever A&M site was offended by that, I apologize, but not really, because it wasn't a criticism at all. It was a compliment to our fans that they were a 12th man, just like the Aggie fans have the tradition of being the 12th man. So just needed to get that off my chest because somebody sent that to me last night.
Well, I'm sure some of that will be mentioned on Friday night during Yale practice. So.
Yeah, I'm sure. This guy said their fans were the real 12th man. Let's show him tomorrow.
Yeah. For your guys who've been out for much of the season, like Jaylen Brown, George Wilson, anybody else, is there anyone of that ilk who could be on track to play at some point?
No. They're trending the right direction. You know, it makes me sad because Jaylen and George were two portal guys that we brought in that would bring help, you know, to that edge room, and they've been out the whole season, not to mention Kobe too. So breaks my heart when I walk through the training room each day and see those guys in there rehabbing, but literally just told Jaylen that downstairs before I came up. You know, won't be long before he's back out there, but not trending to be ready in these next 3 weeks. Any of those guys. Ryan Brubaker now is, you know, credit to him. He missed all of spring practice essentially, and thought his injury may be long term, but he's actually back out there practicing right now and is healthy, bless you, which is pretty awesome too. I mean, what a testament to Ryan and the warrior that he is, because he had a long road ahead of him, we thought, and by no means did we think he'd be practicing in November, but he is, so that's a credit to him. But he's the only one that's back somewhat healthy, but the rest of those guys are trending in the right direction.
I know you don't want to get too deep into the offensive coordinator stuff for next year, but and correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like your first three offensive coordinators here have had very similar background with a lot of NFL experience. Is that something that you're still kind of married to, or are you willing to open up a little bit and maybe consider some other things?
Yeah, I'm open to anything. I push back a little bit, and you didn't say this, but I know it's a narrative out there. I push back a little bit on the narrative that we haven't necessarily gotten these coordinator hires right. Have we been efficient enough on offense and consistent enough on offense? Absolutely not. But let's also not act like we've brought in 3 coordinators and we've just fired all of them and we just threw up our hands. I mean, we brought in a guy in year 1 that had been an offensive coordinator in college. Yes, he had a pro background. Well, that pro background was with Joe Brady with the Panthers, who they did a pretty freaking good job when he was running a pro-style offense at LSU that year and won the national championship. Now, yeah, they had Joe Burrow and whatnot, but he had spent time in the NFL, but he was a college guy that people can, say what they want about him. He won 7 games as the offensive coordinator our first season, starting 4 different quarterbacks. And then the next season, he hung 63 on Tennessee at the end of the season and scored more points against Clemson than any offensive coordinator has here since I've been the head coach. And didn't get fired, a coach that he worked for previously at Western Carolina, Temple, and the Carolina Panthers, got the head coaching job at Nebraska, and his very first call was to him to go be the offensive coordinator. So I know people have perceptions of he was this pro-style guy that had this complicated offense. Well, we did a lot of really good in his time too. Consistent enough? No. Then the next guy, yes, had been primarily in the NFL, but was intriguing because he spent a year at Arkansas, or 2 years, or whatever it was, and time at Penn State with James Franklin, being around college offenses. So yes, his background was the NFL. And I hired him because of, 1, good football coach, 2, had been exposed to the college game with the Art Briles system because he was working for Kendall Briles at Arkansas. But yes, his primary background was the NFL, came here, left to become a head football coach. So I'd say were we consistent enough off season out the last 2 seasons? No, we need to be, but left for a promotion. And then this one, quality football coach who had been basically his entire career since he left Alabama, Mike, had been in the NFL and then spent time in our offense, the college game, in 24. And then I thought it was a seamless transition. So I know I just diverted off your question. All 3 of those guys, yes, did have pro backgrounds. Do we need to be more consistent on offense? Yes. I don't like the inconsistency that we've had since I've been the head coach, and that's on me. It's totally on me. We've got to score more points. We got to turn the ball over less. We got to get sacked less. And every year I come in here in spring practice when I meet with you guys and I talk about these things that we needed to do better on offense, and it's too many sacks and it's too many turnovers, and this year's no different. It's like a freaking broken record. If you look at the SEC stats, we've turned the ball over too many times. Once again, our defense is leading the SEC in takeaways, and bless you. So we've got to be better from that standpoint. I think the bless you is going to be like the Bill O'Brien, what's up, Trevor, from last week on that also, which is awesome. I think my bless you will be mine. But to answer your question, John, whoever gives us the best chance to be successful. Would I like to find, if we hire from outside, someone that's been a college coordinator, I think that would be awesome. But if the best person is from the NFL and can fit what we want to do here offensively, then so be it. I'm not closing the door on anything, but I also understand that, as we go into 2026, whoever is in that position, we need to score more points than what we've done this year and every year too, because we just haven't scored enough, and ultimately that's on me to get the right guy in here and get that right. If there's somebody else that needs one more, since it took me like 8 minutes to answer his question, we'll do it. Go ahead, Lulu.
It seems like after Lonnie was fired and Sean came in, something you said and sort of the players said was just like a different voice, kind of more vocal, more energetic. It seems like so far with Furry, that's kind of the case, I guess. How much are you looking for that to play a role and sort of improve? Because obviously it's a quick turnaround from that decision to game day. Yeah,
a lot. I believe that players in so many ways take on the personality of their coach, and Mike Shula's personality is different than Mike Furry's, and doesn't mean that one's right or wrong. Mike Shula's won a lot of football games and has called plays in the Super Bowl and has been an SEC head coach that won double-digit games with that personality. So it doesn't make it wrong. Mike's personality is different, and it is a different voice, and there's a different energy, vibe, whatever you want to call it, in those offensive meetings and on the offensive field. We did a period in practice last week against the defense, the first offense versus the first defense, where we said it was third down, and I told Mike, hey, you got 2 downs to get there. He said, do I have 2 downs? And meaning, if I don't get it on third down, are we going to go for it on fourth down? He said, do I have 2 downs? And I said, yes. And he's like, doesn't matter. I only need 1. And then when he got out there and he got the first down on third down, that's just his mentality. And you hope Lenoris and the quarterbacks and the rest of the offense kind of feed off that, confidence and energy. But what gives you confidence in a game is going out there and performing well. So that's what's going to matter is coaching well and playing well on Saturday against a really good defense and a really good team in a really challenging environment that we'll be going into. All right.